Last we left our heroes, your presence in the boat shop Good Times Landing had become known to the aberrant denizens of Brundr Kiln, and a battle broke out with some seemingly more intelligent and martially skilled creatures. You held down the interior of the shop as these creatures broke through the various barricades. Coulson took to the upper level and held the enemy at bay in the stairwell, halting the potentially deadly flanking and overwhelming could have transpired. Weathering icy cold death bursts in the barrage of these husk spawn, you began to turn the tide in your favor and sent these alien soldiers into a retreat from which you did not relent, and instead, via your range capabilities, saw to their definite demise. In the wake of battle, knowing more would soon come, you gathered the artifice vessels you would use to save the remaining citizens of Brundr Kiln, harbored the proprietors of the boat shop, and took to the basin to sail along to the east side of town. After a few hours, you found yourselves in the seemingly safer countryside, still on the inside of the fissured crevice, but further from the enemy's purview. Here you found sanctuary within a farming homestead, and in your investigation to ensure it was safe, found a sign of another inhabitant. Trapped within the cellar, you heard a whining sound, and after working your way inside, you found empty and broken shelves, and in a dark corner, putting on a brave stance, a matted, emaciated black dog with a tag that reads Dusty. Via Speak with Animals, Enid was able to coax the dog away from this potato sack it stood over, and beneath you found a halfling girl. She was barely clinging to life, her leg clearly broken and set improperly over time. You helped both out of the cellar, and with the use of Goodberry, saw the grip of starvation and death lessen on both of them. Once you had ensured that they would both survive another day, you all took a long rest and awakened to another day. I say that unless there's anything you want to accomplish the night before, otherwise we can jump to the morning after.
I don't think so. Yeah, we didn't take a long rest. I don't think so. I need health and spells.
I feel like I had something and now I can't remember.
In the interest of expediency, you don't need to worry about going through watches and stuff. It's literally just if you have anything personally, conversations you want to have, downtime kind of activities, or away we go.
Can I mostly just because I'm really bad at taking notes and I'm a wizard, so I think this might work. Could I try to take some time to not write down because I don't keep a journal of everything, but just review facts about these creatures we know, and just try to think if there's anything else based on what we've seen, almost intelligence checky of is there a piece we're missing here about the way these things operate? Now we've seen that they have really smart ones, they were kind of talking to it. Is there anything that I can kind of glean from all of this?
I'm gonna answer your question with a question. What does this process look like to Andy? What do you as Andy do in this time of trying to reflect and understand? You said you don't journal necessarily, so what does this trying to piece together the puzzle, trying to understand, what does it look like? What do you do?
Sure. Okay, so let's do it like this. On the back of my spellbook sash thing, I'm gonna kind of maybe this is something I could have slightly been doing all along. The meme of Charlie Day with the wall of lines and shit. Just almost with embroidery, using my cantrips to try to almost storyteller journey of things, and then connecting points between, oh wait, this could be this, and almost doodling in embroidery to try to just in a way that would only really make sense to me and not necessarily anyone else seeing it.
Yeah, okay. I will allow a pure intelligence roll. And then based on that roll, I'll recap some of the facts that you would just innately know from your various encounters with these creatures. But obviously I can embellish a little bit more depending on how high you roll.
Okay, the 16 on the dice. My intelligence is a 3 right now, right? 4.
So 20.
Yeah, so dirty 20.
You have encountered these creatures a number of times now in combat, and you've seen a little bit about some of the activity that they've gotten up to, but none of it has yet to make any sense. None of it has yet to really be connected in any cohesive manner. breaking down the first immediate things that you know about these creatures. One, they seem to be of some kind of hive mind in a limited capacity. They seem to be kind of amalgam forms. They're not necessarily singular creatures. They can shift and become one with multiple in one, and therefore you've seen them basically evolve and grow into these larger amalgams via those like kind of large like nest and egg sacs that you've seen them kind of like congeal and mutate within. However, you've seen that, but you didn't quite fully connect the dots that it seemed to be connected to a consumption of energy. They seem to be going through the citizens that they have thus been using as husks to like kind of power and like give them like sentience, give them capabilities. When those husks run out, the energy that they kind of pull from the remnants of a corpse of a living creature, they can kind of turn into, and basically when they fill up a certain point of energy, they can become a new form by amalgamating into a larger form, into an egg, or potentially into some of these other types of creatures that you've encountered. In like you piece that together with seeing what happened when Decrane nearly was killed by them, and seeing its like fervor for that energy. You even with a 20 kind of piece together the point of in the last fight in Good Time. There was a point in the fight where the more intelligent creature came in and split focus on yourself and on Ray, with a like a hunger that you hadn't seen in these other creatures against just everyone else, but specifically about the power, the energy, seemingly of magic and of whatever Ray's kind of energy signature is. They seem to be drawn to something of that effect. And then in that same encounter, they seem to be particularly interested in yourself for some particular reason that you can really only assign to one of two things: your heritage or your practice. One of those two things seemed to draw this creature to the point where it commanded one of the other underlings to focus elsewhere. So it could focus on you. And it honestly didn't even seem like its focus was to like, kill. Was more of a focus to like, actually, you're not sure, but it didn't seem like kill.
Well, because I hucked it 90 feet away before it could actually do anything.
Didn't have time to figure out what the plan was going to be.
Yeah.
Smart move. You have seen that they have been entirely resilient to radiant damage. And that element, as well as the kind of hyper cold elements that you've seen, give you this otherworldly feeling. This is an obviously very unnatural species, race, creature. But it does give a little bit of extraterrestrial, something from another plane beyond this. Less than something created, if that makes sense. Like if you're trying to think down the path that someone has made these things. It doesn't give that signature. It comes more across as something that has come here or has been here for some time.
Which would make sense with that portal that we saw with this fuck open on the mountain.
The last two things I will kind of connect, and if there's anything I've forgotten, I'll try to piece it together before we move on. You have seen them in 3 locations. Obviously here has been the most widespread of a inhabitation of like an active like overtaking, an active like attack of like a large group of people. It's a little odd that there has been this happening for such a period of time. Like this has been going on, as Coulson has said, for 5 or 6 months.
It's really weird. I'd imagine that I hadn't heard anything through Shepard talk.
Well, it was 5 or 6 months, I should say, that the kind kind of initial earthquake and like kind of severing of the land, the crevice happened. The matter of time is a little lost as to when they kind of first emerged necessarily, but within 5 to 6 months, this is undertaken and nothing has been done about it. They've just been here. You didn't see any kind of military presence on the outskirts of town.
Well, it's like a tourist town too. Like in theory, there should be new people coming here
For sure.
all the time. Why hasn't anyone raised the flag about people not coming back from vacation?
I'll allow you to make a secondary history check on that thread after we can continue here. So, you've seen them here, obviously, but this has been the longest point of reference that you've heard of their involvement. That ties in with how long since the divining rod has been out of commission. Marrying the 2 points, this seemed to be the first hit. The second divining rod seemed to be the second position. Now, for whatever reason, second attack, for whatever reason, that didn't explode into a bigger encounter such as this. Maybe it's because there wasn't a large population, but it was seemingly the creature after something. You could see it was delving into the mountain for something. You found a massive link of a chain deep within the mountain. No real leads on that one, but there seems to be a larger play that these creatures have some kind of form of sentience that they're after, that they're doing something.
Can you remind me what that mountain's called?
That was the Silver Islands.
I have an insane question to ask.
I want to add one last thing.
Yep.
So the third and first point that you've encountered these creatures for the very first time, which you kind of pieced together a couple sessions ago, was after having seen them in their kind of smaller form, the piece that you pulled from Decrane, and that you've kind of encountered over your battles now with them in several points. An identical signature to the one that was around the kind of crystalline structure, kind of creature, when you battled them around Ursa back at the very beginning of the campaign. And you do have or have given off to Ludomir the little vial of remnant. I thought it was with Ludomir. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, pretty sure we gave it to him. Yeah.
Yeah. So these things have been around doing things. This is the first time it's been this scale. So Leah, I'll ask for the history check at this point, and Scott, please go ahead with what your insane question is.
Mine was just going to be something like, so I saw this chain because I was with Decrane. I didn't ask for this then, but if I'm thinking about it now, maybe seeing Andy think about these things, could I try and...
Oh, I absolutely talk out loud like a crazy person while I'm doing all of this. Like, it's little snippets, but...
I've been trying to show you my birds, but then I just get bored because you're not paying attention. I'm more or less, was the direction of that chain, when I saw it, headed towards where we are now?
Allow a survival check.
Sweet. Do you want disadvantage because it was so long ago? Like, it's pretty... Okay.
No.
It's always August and I haven't really like vibe with these dice. So it's a 2 on the dice and it's a 9.
If I see him paying attention, I got a 19 I never used, so he can have it.
It's up to you.
If you'd allow it. If you don't, that's fine.
I don't actually think it makes sense.
That's
realistically, fine. But if you want to go for it, I'm not going to stand in the way. I really just don't. This is the element of Portent that is like, you're so heavily invested in this, and he's not said, I'm going to think about this. Like,
that's totally fair.
Realistically, the best explanation is like, it was not a full like length of chain. You saw like 2 links. So
that's crazy.
A direction is too hard to make out of anything.
What eldritch horror have you chained for us to fight in this campaign? It's just God.
To the history check about this region as to why kind of nothing has happened here for 5 or 6 months.
I rolled 10 on the dice, so that's 18.
Okay, so this gets into a little bit of a political shenanigan of the last age. In the fallout of now I can't remember the name of which war it was. For the purposes of this, the point is a war happened in which Ironhome, or maybe it was even the initial eruption of the Ashen Wastes. When the Ashen Wastes began to erupt out, and their Ironhome used to extend fully to the north. There are northern settlements of Ironhome. There are massive capitals of dwarven citadels that are beneath ash now because they were lost to this this day of dark sun, this ashen expanse. In the wake of that event, whatever that event was, which has been kind of speculated for 100,000 different fucking reasons, there were people of Ironhome who fled to the south and like trying to flee the devastation of their land, the monstrous creatures that erupted from it, mutations that were either as a result of it or from the creatures, TBD. When Ironhome and the kings of Ironhome called for aid, Candorne, the king at the time, responded and said, "We're coming to your aid." They had been long allies through ages past, not necessarily this king, but just connected as kingdoms. When Candorne came across, and Ironhome held and held and held at this boundary, and the boundary being the battlefield that you crossed, the ancient battlefield you guys crossed to get down here. That was the last stand of this group in Ironhome. A lot of these northern settlements and fighters held this line so many people could come south. Candorne never made it really in time, and when they came, instead of like liberating, they basically said, "We will help those who are here now, but we're going to annex this land as ours in return." So basically, from just south of the basin of water of Brundr Kiln, north to the northern or the southern reach of Ashen Waste, is former Ironhome territory annexed by the king 250 years ago of Candorne, that has now become this kind of no man's land of in between, technically owned by the Candorian company, by King Albert, now King Albert, but at the time, I forget the name of the king 250 years ago, annexed by them and basically held as a tool over these people and Ironhome, and has forever since been a significant sore spot politically.
Yet put nothing into resources or like checking on it, it sounds like. Yeah.
They've provided absolutely nothing, but they have taken much. Basically any of the resources from this area they have taken, and have the Draken Tunnel was forged to make an easy passway for harvesting of resources from this area through to the kingdom, to the capital of Karden. Specifically, this is where the Arcurite and Drakrock began to see a big rise in Candorne as a result of stealing this land, essentially from an ailing people.
Did you call it Blackrock?
Drakrock,
Drakrock.
Okay. Or Arcurite. I don't think you really know much about like Brundr Kiln proper or any of this area necessarily, but you certainly would know about the basically the crimes committed in the wake of a national tragedy.
Okay. I think like with all this information, I imagine that like, because of just the nature she is, trying to like sew this collection of memories and stuff, I think it, without her even thinking about it, kind of becomes a bit of a map of everywhere they're going, of like this, which would lead to this, and then this is over here, and like the little areas are less like place name, but it's more like little event that may have happened here with like little symbols and stuff that mean stuff to her, but slowly like making a map of where they've been.
Throw me just a little insight check.
Sure.
Wish I did.
This is not
tools.
Sorry. I have cartographer's tools.
Oh,
I just don't have proficiency in them. We stole them from that guy who died in the troll cave.
Good times.
Oh, I've been rolling good, guys. Although my insight is -1. So it's 14.
Great.
there's something that as you finish this like pseudo map line and you're kind of looking at it, there's something there that you can't see, but there's something just kind of tickling the back of your brain, and you kind of twist and turn and you hold it up like looking for starlight to kind of give you, as often it does, a direction, a guide. Unfortunately here, skies are dark because of the presence of these vile creatures. However, the connection of looking for stars and your tattoos, you look to the tattoos that have been forming over your venture. The line is identical to the map you've drawn.
Cool.
With the almost exact points in the right places.
It was split.
There have been other branches, other pathways that you have yet to explore, or maybe they were pathways of options and choices not made. That you're not sure of.
Cool, that was way more than I was hoping for, so that's excellent lore, thank you.
And this is a gray bird.
Is it a gray, like the gray jay thing that you're saying? It's like a blue jay.
Oh, you're right. No, that one's a gray jay. Yeah, let me fix it. Well,
do you share any of this information through the evening? Do you hold it for yourself?
Like I said, I will have been talking this out loud in the corner to myself. So if anyone's hearing any of it, but I think eventually I would like stop and do the like info dump.
Yeah.
Not in a way that makes cohesive sense necessarily, but very much. And then this, and I forgot to mention this, and then this is over here, and then I thought of this thing. Very much just the way I discovered it, not necessarily that makes sense to explain it.
And I'll also say, you guys are like falling asleep, both because it's really hard to follow, but too, like it's been a long day.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go to bed now, Indeed. That was super interesting.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, absolutely. We should all probably get to sleep. It's been a day.
Yeah. Unless there's anything more, you're all able to take a long rest.
Hell yeah. We're back in business, baby.
Hit the long
Don't forget
rest
to go into
button.
any items that get once a day and go recheck them, because I forget to do that.
Yeah, sometimes some of the homebrew items don't auto click off. Even though I try to set it as long rest reset. The whetstone, I think it's the only item that you would have used. But
I didn't use the divining rod.
Double checking your features and stuff like that. But
Oh yeah, who's getting the whetstone today? Someone could use it before we move, just in case.
it only lasts for
Oh,
It's
it
only
only
an hour.
Never mind.
I think it should say with Coulson, Tedeschi, Winchester.
Sure.
And we feel like a fight is going. Does it cost an action to do? Just one action?
Yes. So it's an action, but it lasts for an hour. So it's more of a prep thing than an in the moment thing. Unless obviously you've got two fighters here who could try to use it in action surge and get use of it instantly. True. But if something did break out quickly, the intention is that it's over like a rest period that you are like sharpening a blade.
True. Yeah.
But anyways, morning comes, gray as it has pretty much every day here that you've been here, Coulson, and only I think 2 days that you guys have collectively been here.
It's only been 2 days. Jesus Christ.
In Brundr Kiln specifically, yes.
Yeah.
Not including the day you got here, because like essentially that was you guys waited for like 6 hours on the outskirts of town for no real reason.
We did nothing for so long.
Dusty and Hazel have been placed up in the main room and sleeping.
Sorry, who?
Her name is Hazel, but you don't know. They're up in the room upstairs, still sleeping, still kind of not like they're not out of the woods, neither of them by any stretch, but they're safe. You know that they're not going to die on your watch immediately, but they will need like good care sooner than later. However, I turn to all of you as to see what is your plan.
I'm not going to talk in character for this part, but so we could have, gang, What if the two drunken halflings, gnomes, I forget what they are, stout folk, what if they stayed with Dusty and Hazel and we tried to get the other people through
Here?
town to here, and then they could take some of the boats and get out? We could do a distraction at some point during this, but we have unfinished business in the city to try and get the rod back in place.
Yeah, we can't stay, but like, it's a big question of how far are we walking distance from the like hotel where everyone's holed up?
Coulson would easily be able to tell you the safest route and how quickly you all could get back. At your speed, you're an hour and a half, 2 hours of still like moving like relatively quietly and safely. However, to come back with unskilled people, and you have like 15, 16 people to like move through a city, it is going to take longer and it's going to be hard to do it safely, quietly.
Is there a more direct route from the hotel to the same body of water somewhere else?
Not without getting too close to where you know the enemy is like heavily encamped. The best part about the east side of town, like kind of skirting around, is it's the quietest in terms of the enemy. The fastest would be to basically go up to Good Time. Like that's the most direct route to water, but y'all went through that yesterday, and how do you want to do that with 16 civilians?
Yeah.
Wasn't that fun?
Yeah, we fucked up our checks immediately.
Yeah.
Can't imagine a bunch of kids with busted legs and like...
I can lay out a little bit of my side. However, I don't want to kind of stymie any plans or ideas that you want to have. Essentially, I'm going to work with whatever it is you guys want to do. However, you can get these people from Ilderfold Spire here. It'll just take time. How you go about doing it is likely going to be based on skill checks and challenges over a prolonged period. The idea of causing a distraction would certainly aid that series of checks that would be required. You do have 5 of the folding boats, each capable of holding 4 medium-sized creatures, or a few more if they are small, such as the many halflings that are there. Even dwarves would be kind of close enough that you could kind of squeeze maybe 5 into one. And 14, 15 people back at Ilderfold Spire to deal with. And then 3 here, 15 or 16 back to Ilderfold Spire, and 3 here. So you have enough to work with the people you have. It's just getting...
I guess we have to decide, if we make a distraction, are we continuing that distraction? Or do we try and do a Hondo the Blue-esque distraction? Watch the End of the Wild Cards playlist, probably like 100 episodes in, where Hondo tries to go it alone to start a distraction while the rest of the party helps move them? Or is it like we send someone in, they do a distraction, they try and rush back, and then we move them and we cover them? We can do anything we want. Will it work is the question.
Yeah, I don't know if like...
DeCrane, you have a military mind. I could see you.
There we go.
Ready to talk.
I think fortune favors the brave.
Which one do you think's the braver option? Which one do you lean towards?
I think too often we've gone the cautious route and it's just getting us in the ends. Let's be a bit bolder here. Let's take the initiative. Let's
That's interesting.
have circumstances forced upon us. Let's act first.
Okay.
I say we go with option A.
We start a distraction to fight it out and hope those guys get to safety.
Mm-hmm. We've shown that we're more than capable of fighting our way.
Sure, we're definitely capable of fighting. That's not a question. We've fought these things before. The question, I think, is more the safety of like 15 other people who definitely can't fight for themselves, and whether or not we feel comfortable just saying good luck and telling them to go on out.
Well, maybe it's time you all start using that magic that you're supposed to have.
No one has
Have
magic
you been
here.
paying attention?
What?
at all in the last.
I hear a lot of stories about spells and magical stuff, but
Does he look around at all? Is that like tunnel vision when he gets fighting? Is it like blindness like Cols's have?
I think so. It's cool.
One time I tried to cast a spell on him, he resisted it and then almost died. So.
He's really turned to hating magic.
I think to be honest, that hasn't changed.
I'll pull Nettie aside for one quick second.
Hey, Nettie, yesterday it felt like Coulson Tedeschi Winchester like really liked you. He was like so supportive of you during that fight.
Right? I know. He's got a little bit of a soft spot for me now. Listen.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure you caught that too. Okay, cool.
I did. Yeah, no, it was great. And like, you should have seen like the connection we had when we did. Well, yeah, when we had the watch.
You guys had a connection on the watch? Cool. What you talking about?
Oh, yeah. No, like I was asking him all these questions and he was just answering them left, right, and center. Wow. Yeah, it was great. No, we're buddies now. It's not like you and me, but like we're close buddies.
No one's like you and me.
Yeah,
no,
not even close. Don't worry.
I side-eye with Coulson Tedeschi Winchester now. Feeling replaced as a brother.
Yeah, so the plan, cool. Yeah, anyways, the plan.
Yeah. If we're talking about places to do distraction separately from like where we are, we went to that church that one time and saw down into a building that had one of those eggs in it. So that's a potential good place to like lob shit, whether it's fire. I got a bunch of alcohol that can like potentially get set on fire. I was saving some of it to huck really far and then have
we make Molotovs
on fire. Basically, yes, giant Molotovs. Or like we also have that thing that like a thing can come out and fight everybody for us, but it might fight us. But if we're not there, we're just like hucking it into it. But potentially that could work.
They really
losing their voice for saying they really seemed to once that big thing, the egg was in danger, everybody started coming, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's not a bad idea to try and
it is in the opposite direction of where we'd be going, or where the people would be fleeing, correct, Kyle?
Yeah, if you were to return and kind of attack more of like their central area or cause a distraction in that area, it's going to pull a lot of focus that way. If there are straggling individuals throughout the city, the advantage of kind of hitting a point, they just fan out via the hive mind to pull everyone in an area, leaving a more open terrain for your refugees. However, two things. One, simply just like attacking and fighting isn't going to be enough to draw the focus of everything here. Like just engaging in a battle, you've done that. And eventually things come, but it's not the full focus of this entire encampment. So you need something bigger and flashier to try and draw their focus. And that can be a lot of different potential ideas. But the other element that I want to add into here is that Scar kind of like alighted on is what's the timing of this? Are you setting a distraction and just having the residents just kind of run for it and hope for the best? Are you splitting up? Is someone going to lead these people where they need to go and the others go for distraction? How is this going to work from that perspective?
I don't love the idea of just letting them go by themselves. It's very anti-shepherd.
It feels the easiest, but it doesn't feel like something we would do. It feels like, yeah, we'll go to fight them and you guys like figure it out. But that doesn't really feel like insert party name here.
I will also add, especially for Coulson's perspective here, the people who are that you've been harboring and protecting here. Notably, some of the family members who own this very mill and this homestead are within the Ildefold Spire. But also Zoya, the turtle shepherd, is a shepherd, so trained in similar ways. There is a kind of an old veteran dwarf who has a little bit of combat capabilities, but certainly not to your level. And there is also a priestess of Fira, the Lady of the Moon. There's a kind of priest cleric element there as well, so a mild bit of magic as well. So there are some capable hands, but certainly not to your level.
Crazy ideas. I can turn into a horse. I can be a horse. I've seen a horse before. Someone could ride me. We could start something and then just ride back to the guys, try and like drop out of it.
That's a good idea.
I can also, in theory, move someone. If I'm in the middle, I can move someone 180 feet.
Yeah.
If I'm in the middle. But it also, like, timing of all this too, is when are we doing part 2 of this? How many spells and resources are we all going to be blowing here? Are we going to get to rest between doing this? And, like, I got spells, but how many am I using? But in theory, yes, I could, if I'm up, somewhat out of danger, I can pull someone 9 plus 9 is 18, 180 feet. I gotta be in the middle. That's the only downside.
We just need something big enough. Another dumb idea I had was, don't we think they'd be drawn to the divining rod?
I know.
Speaking of like sources of power, and we can plant that once a day and activate it.
My concern is we can't lose it. It's the only one we have. So I don't want to, like, we draw them there and then we can't leave it.
No, I think I'd have to take it. Like if I'm imagining my suicide mission here, it would be I take the divining rod, I go in deep, I plant the divining rod, try and cause a little ruckus, grab the divining rod, wild shape into a horse. I gallop like you've never seen before, Hidalgo style. I leap over some stuff. You high up in a church, do your little teleport thing. I end up in the church beside you. I'm no longer a horse. That's the plan.
Then we're surrounded, and how do we get out of there, right? Like, that's the other problem, is we're not going to be able to get back to help people. And then once the rod's not there anymore, then, like, what are they drawn to? I keep thinking of our last campaign abilities, and it's driving me crazy.
It would need to be more than a flash in the pan. Now, the activation of an artifact, not an artifact, but a very rare kind of legendary element of this kind of magnitude is a great kind of starting point of like drawing attention, but it wouldn't be just plant, next action, pull. That's too quick of a flash.
Do we have anything else? Everyone look at your shit.
Hondo has his like suck energy thing. They were kind of into that before, but I don't know what we could suck
fuck
energy
is Hondo?
on. Fuck. The crane has a suck energy. He was acting so much like Hondo. It's throwing me off.
We have access to a kind of explosive device.
A gun?
Not a gun. Something
Colson,
that
if you can throw me a history check, please.
cause a bang. Something that
maybe
will
Colson knows of some dope thing in town that has like a.
Well, we were just in the smithy. I wonder if there's anything in there.
We need a diversion and a distraction, and I think a large explosion would deliver that.
Could be good.
Onto the blue. There you are, as always. Let's blow something up.
There you are, my old friend.
9.
It will work.
Woof.
Well, I haven't rolled my portent today. Not that I'm going to use it here. I just forgot. I'm going to roll it now.
A 9 is not going to cut it.
Oh my god. This is good, guys. It's okay. 1 second. Sorry.
Are you going to use portent here?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't know about it until I rolled it. But I'll message you it. I don't know that he's thinking about this.
That's not a true thing. So let's say we do the plan where it's like go into town, somehow we start a distraction, and then we escort these people to Good Times Landing.
No, not to Good Times Landing. That's through,
Sorry.
Yeah,
to this spot.
back to the mill. The mill is just a long fucking walk from. Not only is it a long walk from where they are is a decent length walk from that church.
I'm just thinking, so then maybe are we safe? Do we rest here if we've used a bunch of spells? Or do we then circle back for the final rod thing?
Oh, timing wise. They're
How many
also, like-
people fit on a boat, Kyle? 5?
4 or 5, depending on how tiny they are. Well, so the other thing is too.
Yeah, the smaller they are, the more obviously you can fit. Too small to one medium.
We also saw that these like egg things that we've been kind of running across. There's like a super uber monster one that's closer to the mountain where we need to go, and I imagine that's the thing they care most about. And that
Kyle, is that one
we're
big?
gonna have to deal with that one,
Sorry.
I
or there's
think
just a lot of them.
I can't remember if there was like a specific large one or if you saw a larger grouping of them.
Yeah.
I want to say it was more the grouping of them. You saw at least a couple groups near the kind of entry into like the waterfall, the base of the waterfall, the hot spring area where they have this kind of larger encampment area. So if that is your target, that's a tighter condensed area of these kind of larger amalgams.
But that's even further and even more open.
That would be at the base of the waterfall at the furthest south of town, but that's like where their encampment is. That'd be striking at the heart true.
Okay, option 2. We can get into a building where there are more people who have lived here with part of a plan and then ask more questions as well of what else is in this city in terms of
Yeah,
the
that's a good
people
idea.
who lived here and worked here. Like maybe if we're like, hey, is there somewhere with, we're not going to say, hey, is there somewhere with gunpowder, but who knows? Like, is there somewhere
Yep.
that has something like this? Is
There
there,
is a volcano. There might be steam. We might be able to trigger some sort of explosion, some sort of like hot spring explosion or something. That's a good idea. Why don't we go into town? Why don't we tell... I was going to call him Greg. Why don't we tell...
should we leave them one boat just in case?
Oh, I thought we were going to leave them all the boats.
Oh yeah, so we don't have to
Yeah.
carry them. That's probably fair. You're right.
If the intent is to come back here, save yourselves the hassle.
Yeah.
With ease, you are able to make it back. However, I will ask for a group stealth check to return to Ilderfold Spire. The 5 of you. As you kind of give Simon and Merle the heads up to stay here. They have no problems with that. They're happy to hole up here. Though they are kind of like, there's a moment where they're a little fearful that you're leaving. And then they're kind of back on their own in an unknown area, now at the charge of this young halfling girl. But they don't really have a choice. So away they go.
Can I have tiniest scene with this little girl? Can't just leave this little girl without asking her anything. Has she woken up? She's still in a little coma.
Still basically kind of unconscious. You can try and do something if you want.
No, like girl needs rest. Let me just look at what I prepared today.
Anyone have like
Those berries from last night last, I think, 24 hours. Yeah. So made 10 berries. There's 5 of us. 5. 6,
You gave a couple to each of them to like make a paste.
Right.
So some of those were definitely used.
I'm going to cast it again then. I can't let these people starve. So I'm going to hold. Actually, this could be helpful in case one of us goes down. I'm going to hold on to, let's say we all have one. That's 5. 2 halflings, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hazel and the dog. 1 little good berry left.
So what do these do? They're just food, or is it,
heals 1 hit point and
Oh.
feeds you for a full day, essentially.
I didn't know about the 1 hit point thing. That's
Yep.
yeah. You can't take it if you're unconscious though, right?
People try and spam it in weird ways, and I think that's weird. You're not going to try and shove a berry down an unconscious person's throat.
Yeah.
But who knows? 1 hit point could save you from something crazy. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, now sorry, let's go to town. If she's just give her a little pat, give the dog a little scritch.
You did a good
She's
job.
still a little out of it. The dog is definitely feeling less protective now, like that they're back inside in their home. Like it seems like things are okay. You guys are definitely giving off more approachable, like helpful vibes. And yeah, it's not aggressive, but it doesn't have the energy to be doing much of anything other than sitting and laying here. So
Can I try to like find whatever like in the kids' room, wherever the kids were, see if there's like a toy or like a stuffy or like a something?
There's plenty. They're kind of all over, scattered. Lots of various kind of handmade crochet kind of dolls of animals and people, and little wooden carved farm kind of animals and things like that.
I'll find whatever the least destroyed, nicest looking stuffy is, and I'll make sure that she has that. And then I might take for myself as like a memento, but also to show if her parents are potentially okay, like a little something that looks like a hand carved animal.
Yeah, definitely. Easy enough.
Some good mom energy right there. That was good mom thinking right there.
Unless there's anything left, we can get to a relatively easy, given your experience in Coulson leading the way safely, a stealth check, a group stealth check. So everyone's stealth.
13 from me.
I rolled a natural 20, and I'm going to roll like shit the rest of the game.
Double success. A 9 is a fail, but you technically currently have 3 successes with the natural 20.
6.
That is also a failure, so depending on how Kevin rolls, 18.
Nice.
3, technically 4 successes, but 3 of your 5 team members did succeed and therefore are able to kind of make your way through the city. Notably, as you make your way along this path, breaking up into kind of like 3 chunks, the first third passes without anything else around you. Like you don't hear even the hint of something else moving from like your enemies. As you get into the city proper, you can start to hear a little bit of like deeper into the town, like just element of sound that carries, and you are now quieter and moving quicker. And as you get to Ilderfold Spire, there's a faint kind of thrum to the earth the further and further into town you get. Very much like drum beat in the earth, ever so like not consistent in like a consistent beat like every high tempo, but every so often you're hearing and feeling this faint little shift.
Okay, so maybe we are not going to be able to put off part 2 until later.
It's very faint, but noticeable. Nonetheless, you guys make your way back to Ilderfold Spire. Coulson leads you up to the safe house and back within the room where you find the stashed citizens of Brundr Kiln, each kind of jumping to their feet after your day's your day away, and they all kind of rush in looking for information. Nobody is like, nobody's talking over one another. No one's really saying anything. They're just hoping that you're going to deliver some kind of information. You can see hope in their eyes that something good came of what you tried to do.
Like, look to Coulson.
They're looking at Coulson.
These are his beeps. Well.
Coulson, tell them how we did so good and we got a plan, and just that's it.
I will tell them everything.
Everything?
Coulson begins to break down the entire excursion as everyone sits. Zoya listens intently and closely, sitting very close. Many of the younger begin to just drift at a certain point, lost in, even though there's an interesting story, it's a long story. But the adults kind of hang on and listen and nod and follow along to some kind of shock and awe in some elements, and some kind of claps on the back to those when it comes through some of the battle elements and describing of your various combat encounters. There's the kind of elder dwarf who is the veteran of the crew is like nodding and like appreciative of hearing that you guys like fought back, where some of the others don't really have pay any mind one way or the other. but nevertheless, as you come to finish, and how much of like the plan going forward do you go into, or do you just recap what you did yesterday?
Just what we did yesterday.
Feels good.
As you kind of finish to the point where you return to Guild Route, one of the actually the pair of halflings that you all recognize, obviously Coulson recognizes as Van and Rose Guild Route. You hear a pretty audible gasp from both of them, and like just kind of a look at all of your faces just to see if there's any more that comes of that return to their homestead.
I'll pull out the little animal.
Rose kind of shakily kind of reaches out and grabs it with like kind of a quizzical.
We met Dusty. And we didn't get a name, but we didn't get a name. We don't know. There was a child.
They both are just like brimming. Like, is she okay?
Alive. Little worse for wear, but hopefully with some care.
Is she safe there?
Yeah, there's the good times. That's what their last name is. They're watching her right now, but I think eventually the plan is to get you all out that way. We just got to be careful about it. We can't go right now, but soon.
You can see they both are like kind of like wanting to know more, but like have just too many things to like think about and look around and realistically kind of just like pull back in deference to kind of Coulson and yourselves, just kind of nodding and like just hold each other close, and then they rush over to the rest of the young ones that they have, sharing some good news. Zoya
really,
kind of just gives you like a dog tap. They don't hear you.
Damn it.
Zoya gives you just a little tap on the arm and just like a solemn nod and smile. And then the dwarf kind of sits back and he has this little flask. It takes a big sip of his flask and says, "Well then, Master Coulson, what's the plan beyond?"
Great question. That is actually something we were hoping to get some input on, because we had some thoughts, but we wanted to kind of like democratically talk it out.
Essentially, none of us have been here before, so the thought is you guys have lived here. Some of you, I'd imagine, your whole lives.
Indeed, it's been. I was born, and he starts to just go in like.
Okay, actually, sounds like Andy last night talking about all this stuff. Sir, actually, we were kind of the things are attracted to like energy. That's what Andy explained over the course of several hours. And so, is there anything in this town that could do like an explosion, or like we know there's a volcano here and geysers? Is there like maybe gas or something that comes out that we could cause like an explosion and try and basically distract the baddies, the goodies escape to the boats, whoosh, to swim away?
Ideally, there's like a church that's like, there's some stuff near there that could potentially be a good spot for that, because it's the opposite direction of where we're going to be taking everyone else.
The dwarf makes a little side comment about explosions of gas in a flatulent way.
Sir, please, sir.
Side comment to whoever the
Enid loves it.
Is.
She's just laughing.
You
however,
guys, come on.
As you're explaining, the priestess of Fiera, she steps up and says, "In fact, the church is where I reside and practice. Not far from."
They had a really cool Mia up in the top.
I'm glad to hear it still stands. I have often been frustrated by expulsions of significant steam and heat, and at times when things break down and are in need of dire attention and care from the molten anvil not far from there. I believe Daedra would often practice with the molten lava of Ilderfold itself in her craft.
We were there, right? That's the place we went?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Surely there's some way you could work some magic of some kind to cause a ruckus if that's what is needed.
Do we know what a boiler is? Do they have a boiler?
No. You don't.
Do you have TNT?
Okay, that's good. We've been there. We know the way there. We got some sort of distraction there. That would satisfy DeCrane's urge to blow something up. So, boom, happy.
We'd have to like, investigate to figure out what it is, though. So that's where it's hard for like planning purposes.
Is that woman's name Zoya?
Zoya
Nope,
is the
that's the turtle. Her name is Vera.
Vera. Zoya, Tortle, Vera. Could we... I guess we just ask everybody.
What do you guys, how competent do you guys think you are? Would you, obviously you'd feel safer with us, heroic individuals escorting you to safety, but if
Certainly
we were
under
to
Master Coulson's tutelage and cover, I would feel much safer. However, I am capable of providing some blessings of the Lady of the Moon, if need be. Elderbeard kind of slams his fist and says, "These old arms can still fight a little."
when you're not too gassy, am I right? Right.
Especially when I'm gassy.
Oh, what? Okay. So maybe they could take care of getting these people out if we cause a big enough distraction.
I don't know how confident I am as either a player or maybe as a character about.
Another figure who has been here, there's a human male, kind of a slightly, a bit of a paunch that has definitely sagged over time. Seems to still wear relatively well-to-do clothes, good quality clothes that have seen the wear and tear of being cooped up here for some time. He sits forward and says, I mean, absolutely no disrespect to Lady Heartsmore and Master Elderbeard here, of course. However, I don't love the chances of making our way out into the city with these creatures without Coulson at the very least.
Coulson is a valued member of our now quintet? Quintetret?
It's quintet.
Of our quintet.
The other option at a game is like, if we have a solid plan, we could try to split up. I don't love it. I don't love splitting the party.
What if we just tried to get them out right now without doing the distraction?
Without doing a distraction?
Yeah.
You can do that. Like, you don't necessarily need the distraction part. Essentially, from a mechanic standpoint,
Let's hear it.
the distraction would provide the ability to let the group flee at a significantly easier DC.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to go with a large group altogether, even with yourselves, the DC would be high. You would have disadvantage for the group that you're moving with. It would be a group check, the disadvantage representing the other people, the DC being higher representing how many people you're traveling with. I will offer another option that you could break that and stagger that, and each of you lead a smaller group,
Okay.
lowering the DC, but you break yourselves up individually, separating yourselves fully from one another and going solo with a group of civilians.
be scary.
DC becomes a lot easier. However, you still have disadvantage for the first and second checks as you are making your way through the city. The third check, as you have experienced today, that section of the city is significantly safer. So no, like the DC is low, and the check is the check is not a disadvantage. So it's a straight roll for the final check as you get nearest to the end. However, a failure could still trigger some untoward action.
A little fun.
If failure occurs, it's not an instant fail. The whole thing falls apart. But after a certain threshold, enemies will make their way here, and the enemy here will not stop coming.
People will die. What if there's, I mean, in theory, what if we try to go, it's still the morning, go check out this place we've already been.
Smithy.
If there's a way to try to like jerry-rig something that's almost like
It's a good idea.
on a timer, not on a timer, but you know, like the classic, you get a bag of sand, you put a little hole in it and it's up, and you know, something's going to slowly fall, right? Like something like that, so that it buys us some time to try to get back here before whatever the fuck it is goes off, and try to, you know, do the best we can to make it seem like there's a lot more shit going on there, and then use it that way.
Let's do it.
The only thing I want to add in as the hiccup in that world is that if the check does not go as planned and your trigger happens before you're prepared, suddenly the enemy is moved into the city much, much closer to this position where you would choose off.
Yeah.
Everything relies on rolls. No matter what you do, there's rolls involved. Nothing here is a guarantee.
Let's do distraction plan.
Both of the plans are viable. It just depends on what you want to do. Going distraction plan puts yourselves a little bit more at risk, but gives these guys a much safer route. You guys taking them and ferrying them to Guildroot Mill and then up to the water puts you slightly less at risk. However, there is a greater risk if everything goes like poorly. There's no retreat in that case. You're all out in the open.
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah.
So either like we could, yeah, I guess that's a problem. Is if it'd be difficult to set something up. What is the travel time between here and the smithy?
An hour, give or take, maybe less.
Whatever we do would have to have an hour delay. It's a long fucking delay.
We can make it happen.
I mean, we won't know until we go check it out. That's the thing.
Let's go check it out.
Okay.
You guys
Get everyone here to start pack their shit. Like,
Pack
get
your
ready.
stuff.
They don't have much. It doesn't take long. With the talk of a distraction plan, and you guys headed this way, looking to like set something up, I'd like Augustus and Coulson to throw me persuasion checks.
10? I'm not Valentine anymore. Coulson, though, is silver-tongued.
Oh, no.
8. The algorithm just does not like me today.
That's not liking us.
Where are your real dice? Didn't Lisa buy you nice dice?
Doesn't make that cool clickety noise when you click the app, though.
No, it doesn't in real life on the table.
I don't want to do math.
That's
Too noisy.
In that case, nothing really comes of it. Actually, no. You know what? Vera just says before you head off. I don't have much in the way of blessings of the moon to offer, and I do certainly want to hold on to some in case we do need it on whatever journey the rest of us are taking. But allow me to at least help for some time, for a few of you anyways. and she kind of begins to grasp hold of her symbol and utter a small prayer, and is going to cast Aid on, I think, only 3 of you. Your DC's sucked enough to not let her upcast. So 3 of you, she would give it to Coulson, she would give it to Andy, and
Roll for it.
Rollsies.
Augustus.
Yes. Take it, suckers.
You each get 5, your hit point maximum, and hit points increased by 5
Oh, sick.
for 8 hours.
Great. Max HP modifier? We're going up.
Takes her a second to go through that, and she just kind of, good luck.
Actually, I got these beads, I think maybe from your temple. They're prayer beads.
She reaches out, and you can see similar beads around her neck. Those symbol hangs. This one is the ones you have don't have the symbol, just the beads. She kind of clutches onto hers after just finishing the spell, and she goes to take them from you, and just kind of looks you up and down, and just says, "Perhaps it'll offer you some extra watchful eye of her light."
They've been lucky already.
It would seem so.
Thank you. We'll be back soon.
Be safe.
We try.
The rest of the table just kind of disperses a little bit. Yeah, there's no further additions on this side. So the goal is to make your way to the Molten Anvil. A much easier kind of trek. However, again, it will require a group stealth check as you guys head out into the city. The DC does increase slightly as you're getting further and further into dangerous territory.
Let's do it.
Stealth checks all around.
9.
That's a fail.
10.
That's a fail.
Oh boy.
Oh, 20.
A natural
Not 20 or just 20?
Just 20.
Okay.
Success.
I rolled a tool.
Oh, no.
That's a nice old failure.
That's to be failed. Unless Brock rolls a natural 20.
Unless Brock rolls a natural 20, in which case the balance would be 3 and 3, and I would give you the edge. Here it goes.
So the first one I rolled 21. Second one, 6.
Perfect.
I just started.
Stuck.
I was thinking about casting whatever it is, but I was
Casting
like,
Trace.
I'll save the spell slot.
You guys begin to make your way out into the city, and you feel instantly, as soon as you set foot down, a thrum in the earth. A little off-putting. You continue on your route, the slow, steady, quiet, hurried shuffle between alleys and into open buildings and running through an abandoned city. And still, no real sign of any of the enemy. You get further and further into town without having spotted a single enemy, any of these spawn. And there's a moment that kind of passes certainly in the minds of all but Coulson, that like maybe they just don't come out as much in the day. You know, maybe there's certainly some element of like sunlight is bad for them for whatever particular reason. You know, that's just a passing thought. Though you have battled them in the daylight, sort of. You get to the road, you get to the street where the Molten Anvil is. You can see the church in the distance, and it just, this way the street is, it does give a nice thoroughfare line, which was what was nice about it when you run the last time, where you can see pretty much straight down to the base of the mountain. And the rise up, where the waterfall would fall, the hot springs would rise. Here you see at a distance an amassed dozen or more of those nest eggs have begun to pulsate and grow. It seems like the smaller kind of denizens of the city have lessened significantly in the interest of making more of the larger, more destructive figures. As you get nearly to the molten anvil, again, almost exactly as happened last time you left this place, you set foot directly on one of the tendrils of kind of ichor and vine and sinew and tendril that seem to snake away from this central position. You just hear this awful howling kind of echo out of a building that you can see this vine, this rope, this tendril, this sinew snake its way out of. And you hear in a split second just the bursting, sloughing off of one of these kind of egg sacs splitting or something unnatural, and then that rises up from echoing out of this building. And then just one of the hulking abominations that you fought the day before, maybe twice the size, begins to pull itself like free and just and rises up. But rather than roll initiative, that chilling sound like a drain dragging your soul through the abyss, the roar as it rises up to thunderous fist down upon your crew, frozen in fear. It freezes, but not like stops. It freezes, every tissue and tendril of its body held perfectly in time. You see all the kind of sinew and tendril that normally rise off these things. Not one is moving. Its roaring, amalgamous face begins to swirl and warp and twist and bubble, and then caves in upon itself, and you see a new face rebuild like inky mercury, and a new face forms. A wide mouth that drops to an elongated point. From cheek to elongated points, kind of wraps up and around this elongated, like thin, long, crested head, set of horns that stretches wide and around in curved, massive horns. Dozens of smaller offshoot horns, similar to the tendrils, kind of rise off and jut at odd angles. And where the edge of the horn sits, pointed beneath the brow, you see a sunken face and beady eyes. This wide mouth that you can see is inhuman. Hard, angular points. The cheeks rise impossibly pointed and wide, and the chin resting so deeply pointed as well. Very triangular, very angular and sharp. The wide mouth smiles. And then it opens, and you hear the same horrid language come forth. It echoes and rings out across the quiet town. The face smiles ominously, and as quick as it came, withdraws within the creature, the same shifting and twisting until the former creature's face returns, its body returns to itself, and it dissolves into a puddle of limp tendril tar.
I'm just holding Nettie. This is so tiring.
Agreed.
Coulson, have you ever seen that before?
No.
We should probably move, right? We should probably
Yeah,
move.
we should go. We should go.
Yeah, let's go, let's go.
Let's find that spot. Let's go.
Quickly enough, you're able to, not far off of where you were headed, find the molten anvil and tuck inside. Safe and sound, though shaken.
What the,
Is there-
what the frick was that?
Does anyone understand what language was that? Does anyone?
It was the
sounded-
language of nightmares.
I don't believe any of you knows that language. I would be shocked if you did. I'll do a double check, a courtesy double check.
Was it Sylvan? It sounded kind of nice.
It was not Sylvan. It would be the language of deep speech.
Yeah, it's
Would be
like,
the best.
Oh.
Crane, you're spooky. Deep speech.
Green, you're spooky, scary. Did you understand it?
Unless it was primordial.
No.
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 Oh, I know primordial too.
That's fun.
I got nothing out of it. But it sounds threatening for sure.
Yeah, it didn't sound good.
We've never seen it have a face before. Like, it recognized us. It, like, saw us and then it said something and then...
Hey, didn't you say there's a spooky face that made out of like moths? But it spoke common, right?
Did it look like the spooky moth face?
No, it does not look like the spooky moth face. And the spooky moth face did speak common or
Did
Sylvan.
speak a language I could understand, yeah.
It was a
I can
language.
actually understand it. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not that. I don't know what any of that means. It's not good. But whatever we're gonna do, we should probably do it quick.
Okay. Okay. Everyone look around for some way that if this guy was using, the ground geothermal steam, we could set off some sort of bomb or fire or something like that.
Let the pressure build up and then a way to suddenly release it.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. Does
I know so many spells.
I know DeCrane has proficiency with Tinker's tools.
Mhm.
Does anyone have any other tool proficiencies that could make sense in this case, or skills?
Loot.
you would try.
Loot.
Lear.
Tools, baby.
What was that?
Okay, what?
Weaver's tools.
Weavers, great.
I can
I
make
have a pan flute. Does that help?
Okay, I'm super.
your proficiencies.
Have a
Thieves'
good
tools?
band.
Thieves' tools could be useful in certain cases, but not necessarily in
Martial weapons.
Yeah.
I have a survival
Like this or
7.
like this?
I like to think of it like this. It's a lot
The
more
influence
fun
the
like
little
this.
like.
If I'll ritually cast detect magic. I know it'll take a while. That's the only downside. If it's helpful to like try to gauge if there's anything magic in here that's like, oh yeah, that's the on button, like shit like that. I don't know if there's anything magical in here.
Well, you can do that to your heart's content. It is not going to aid you in this endeavor.
Okay, never mind.
You do it nonetheless, and it's not a bad play for Andy to do. But in terms of like searching here, that is not going to aid your role. However, everyone is free to make either investigation or any other skill check that you want to make to try and find something here that makes sense. Based on the skill check, I'll lower and higher the DC. Investigation here, I'm going to put at a DC 15, except for DeCrane. You have proficiency with Tinker's tools. You have a better understanding of how this kind of the mechanism and elements here would work. Certainly in the elements of like trying to fix and repair your weaponry and technology of that level. I will set the DC at 10 for you, 15 for the rest, and it is investigation or any other associated skill that you want to try and pitch.
The only
Could
other
I
one
just-
I can think of is like nature, because if it's like geothermally stuff, but I don't know if anyone's
This is
proficiency in
very
that.
specifically like
Looking for stuff.
technology. Like this is how can I understand how to fuck with pipes and like pressure and science. This is the antithesis of what is the nature gonna do.
Could I try and just give DeCrane the help action by doing whatever he tells me to do? Like,
What do you need me to look for? What do you need me to like? I can help you find something.
Definitely.
Old stuff. Yeah.
You provide Decrane advantage on his check.
Decrane?
As you begin to kind of scan the place and see, you were here yesterday, but you guys were looking more as like a gear finding, fact finding mission. Today, trying to break down the intricacies of like how this place works, how you could utilize it to your benefit. You do have advantage to roll again.
Get a 20, Kev. Get a 20.
Try to understand the smelting and smithing process. The 11 plus what is your investigation?
I think it's a 0. Yep.
What a team.
I mean, I can try to just look at it from a pure intelligence perspective.
This was more about trying to figure out where to start, and then from there you can try and theory craft it. You did hit the DC. You understand the basics, though maybe not as the best potential here, but you have an app. So the way this kind of it does kind of have a pseudo boiler of some kind element here. However, basically the way is there's a pipe that goes down that delivers up lava to fuel a furnace and to act as kind of in smelting and in hyperheating the arcuate and drac rock that is like adamantine. Like you need this level of heat to even work the metal whatsoever. So there is like essentially a pipe that rises with an offshoot of essentially like a steam valve to allow it not to just superheat everything and it cools on the other side. So there's kind of like this intricate kind of series of water that is cooling so it doesn't heat up the actual mechanism so much that it just bursts and breaks, and there's a steam valve that is also expelling the significant amount of gas that also accompanies this. So you have a couple of different avenues here and elements. However, as we previously decided, you need a secondary check to know how to fuck this shit up. So with the Tinker's tools, again, Decrane would have the advantage or the easier DC, however you want to look at it, but other people can roll as well. This is just straight intelligence.
Can I still just give my advantage to Decrane?
Definitely. So Decrane, straight intelligence, a little easier DC.
Yeah, you're smart.
You're smart. It's a straight intelligence roll, so you can certainly give it a shot.
An 8.
Okay.
Advantage.
That
My
8
buddy.
plus 0 is not going to do it.
But you said it's advantage, right?
You have advantage?
Yes,
I'm not even advantage roll.
I knew you were due for one. I could just sense it.
It's been a while.
With Augustus just giving you the just kind of constant kind of pep talk and talking you up and just consistently saying he knew you were going to find something. He knows you're going to be able to fuck this up. You've been talking about it. You want to do it. Let's find a way to do it. Easy enough to basically figure out if you just open this valve, turn this valve off and shut the water from cooling the lava valve off, turn the steam valve off and route all the gas into a large chamber and let the lava just flow, you're going to cause a pretty hefty explosion here. It's going to certainly... you rolled a natural 20. It's going to level this building and probably this block. If it gets to a certain point, you rolled a 20, so I will allow you to basically set the perfect kind of level for at which point the heat will hit the boiler enough to melt and corrode to expel the gas to burst the whole shit. This will also light this town on fire. Period. Full stop.
Yeah.
However, we don't live here.
We don't live here. We don't have any property here.
So fuck it.
We relocate whatever needs to be relocated and we move on.
There's 15 people left in this town.
This
I
town
think they'd be.
It's not worth it. We need to do this.
Decrane, you're so smart. This is crazy cool.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Okay, so we could set that, and if you feel confident that it'll blow at a certain time, gives us enough time to go back, we can start bringing them out.
What's the threshold you want to set?
How long did it take us to get here?
Just an hour to get here.
Roughly an hour.
An hour and a half?
Now that was an hour. I'll also point like that's you being very stealthy, like trying to like maneuver quietly. You could hustle faster, but obviously that potentially could draw ears and eyes. You're not sure what that means at this point, given your last encounter. But
I'm gonna cast Pass Without Trace when we leave this time. We can't fail again.
okay.
I do think we need to be at least a little quieter. Like, I don't know that. As much as it'd be nice to get the fuck out of here quickly and move all this quickly, I'm so scared about it knowing where we are and drawing things back with us.
So Kev, you set... Oh, sorry, Kyle, you go.
I was going to say, with a natural 20, again, like, an hour is probably, like, the threshold that you could pull on this, like, before you're just not confident that you have... Like, trying to set it for 2 hours, like, now you're getting into, like, really tricky levels of, like, how much heat does this actually put off? Like, you're not doing any calculations. You're doing this off gut checks, baby.
So we could do an hour, go for that full hour. We just get back. We'll hear the
as
boom
fast as we
take
can.
them out. Yeah. My music's picking up, and so I say we do it. Tempo.
Can I do something before we leave, Kyle? I didn't realize that protection from good and evil has a material component that it consumes.
Not if it's through the staff.
I don't know. It says which it consumes is what it says. So does that matter?
Is it through the staff?
It's not. It's that's the one I learned from the book. That's not through the rod.
Okay, hang on.
I just thought it was one of those things where if it says something about consuming, it needs powdered iron. This is a smithy. I'd imagine I can find a bunch of fucking iron somewhere was my thought.
Holy water or powdered silver and iron, which is about consumes.
It's up to you.
I mean, it's just a good thing for you to snag. Realistically, that's not a gold cost item that, like, literally, like, powdered iron, you can just get, just walking past the smithy, you can grab a handful of it, and you don't need that much of it. So I'm not super concerned, but I do appreciate, like, the pocketing this for making sure that you have.
I almost did it last game and then realized I didn't have the material component. So.
Easy enough for you to snag that on your way out, on your way in, away you go. Again, I do need everyone to make a stealth check. You do have the plus 10 from Pass Without Trace.
Let me cast it. Yeah. Okay, guys, let's do it.
Actually, you know what? If you pass Without Trace, no, I do need to see you guys. You guys rolled like dog shit, so
yeah, we could do it
no matter what.
18.
Good. Is that with plus 10?
Yeah.
28.
There you go. There you go.
Rolled a 14.
Great.
Good to go.
25.
Yep.
Excellent.
Plus 10, 35.
Hell yeah. Oh, baby.
I rolled a 25 with plus 10.
Great.
Collectively, significantly quieter under the addition of Augustus's magic, and maybe just sped along with this plan, wanting to ensure it goes off without a hitch. You return to just about to Ilderfold Spire. In under the hour mark, you have the time to get up to the room where everyone is stashed. Just in time as you like enter into the room to have a pretty good view from this height of the eastern portion of the town on the edge of the crevice erupt. Building, timber, wood, and the section of like cliffside just gives way and fires rock far off over the crevasse. Magma like spews as the entire as the pipe that was like kind of siphoning it is just loosed, and now there's just a spew of magma into the city that is just untapped and overflowing. It is just flowing through the city streets, and the probably, I don't know, but yeah, that block is just utterly destroyed by the shockwave, and you even feel it here kind of shift and shake the tower at this height. The whole tower shifts a little. Everyone is on their feet, looking to you guys with like.
Here we go. We go now.
We should go now.
Okay. Everyone follows suit, and you all begin to rush. So, like, the intention here is like this was going to be like a stealth endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still intending to stealth this? What do we think? Was this a big enough explosion that stealth is no longer necessary, or should we still stealth it? That thing did see our face. It clocked us, so maybe we still be stealthy?
Do I have a minute? That's the question.
Much for you guys.
Do I have 1 minute? Do we think I have 1 minute?
I don't know.
I can cast Augury, where you can say, I'm going to do this. Is this a good idea or a bad idea?
Okay, do it. That sounds cool. I can just watch this for a minute.
It's through the rod.
It's insane.
Okay, I'll take 1 minute and cast Augury through the rod.
Okay.
While everyone's getting their stuff together. Yeah.
Everyone already kind of has their stuff, but they're just kind of scattering. People are trying to like kind of go orderly. Zoya takes this point to like step forward and just like try and keep everyone calm and trying to keep like he's like going through and making sure like, you know, guild roots hold each other's hands, and he's trying to give everyone the like, we're traveling quickly in unsafe territory. He's giving the like shepherd, this is the things you need to know to travel safely, to get there where we need to go. Listen to everything these people say. Do not fall out of line. Like, it's very military, but like in the nicest way possible.
It's a very weird mix of like, this is authority, but like in a way that you can't help but like respect in a wholesome way.
Yeah, and the whole way he's like giving like, you know, like the very nice like squeezes and like kind of, we're gonna do this, it's gonna be fine, but like listen to the things we need to say. And he's like picking up like the kids' toys and handing them to them, making sure you hold on to this, like giving them very getting down close to everyone, going down the line, seeing what you're doing. The rest of the team is just kind of gathering their things ready to rock and roll. What does Augury say specifically?
I want to say essentially, what does the spell say? It says, you receive a known from another willing creature, blah, 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 a specific course of direction you plan to take within the next 30 minutes. And then the outcomes that the DM chooses are weal for good, woe for bad, weal and woe for both or nothing. The spell doesn't take into account any possible circumstances that might change the outcome.
What is a specific plan of action you want to ask? Or question?
Is trying to think, like, let's think of like the most drastic, because that's going to be the one that's not like, well, it depends on if you roll well. If we move with haste, with as much haste as possible from the location where we are to the location where we're going with this group, like that's essentially it, moving as fast as we can with the group, not taking time to make sure we're covered. I don't know. Like, what do we need to add more than that?
Like the end of the question is, will that be safe?
Yeah, I was hoping for a...
Yeah, you didn't have like...
You like that idea?
It just says you describe an action you plan to take. I don't know.
Like, I see. You didn't stick with it.
There's no question. This isn't like I need ask your divine question. It's just, hey, we're gonna do this. This is a thoughts.
Yeah, that's not exactly how I picture it, but that's okay.
I don't know. I'm just going off the spell. I'm asking the fucking stars. I'm with the divining rod, trying to tap into. Well, with the divining rod,
you tap into the beauty of the divining rod is it does allow you to tap into the winds of change themselves. You are given almost a direct line through to the plane of fate, chance, and destiny, and with the plan in place of hurry with haste, with this distraction, can you make it to where you want to go and keep these people safe? You are ushered on the wind to run.
Okay.
Great.
Go into my little weird, let me see multiple realities at once and follow the line, the constellation that is the brightest.
and it is a beacon. And in fact, from the divining rod, a beacon does flow out of the divining rod. The small beacon light begins to bob forth, and as you and it leaves a little bit of a wake, a trail. As you give the all clear and everyone begins to hustle down, everyone who walks in the wake of this light and path is hasted. They move incredibly quickly, and you are all rushing and moving at the speed of the winds of change. As you make your way through, snaking through the town, Coulson taking the lead, with the distraction in play, and this particular distraction in play. I want to kind of retroactively, though it does fit now, to kind of highlight an element of this. DeCrane, can I get from you just a perception check?
Mm-hmm. Okay, rolled a 12, and I think my perception is a 5, sorry, so 17.
The whole time you've been in this town, there's been so many things going on, but there's been this underlying kind of static that you've just kind of felt tasted. It's on your tongue. And when you were at the Molten Anvil, both times, first time you were distracted by the allure of the items and things that were there and the wake of combat. The second time, as you're focusing on the magma itself and then beginning to let it flow out, there was a sense of purity in the primal force of the energy that the magma kind of contained. And it hits the tongue and hits the senses in a weird way. And maybe it's this pathway opening, branching as you're now kind of hasted by these winds of change. You're opening yourself up to another dimensional space and being able to kind of piece the pieces together. That sense now that the lava flows so freely in the air, it tickles the senses, and specifically to your energy signature kind of sensing. This is not just naturally forming magma. This is a primordial source of energy. A true primordial source. Ancient and old. And you can taste it here and now in the air. And given that these creatures are so ravenous for this, you can feel very confident that any local creature is going to be drawn more there than to any of you guys.
Tight. Feels real scary that we just did something real bad, but
you don't know that.
I sense something sinister, though. Something bad.
Oh, more sinister than when that thing's talk to us through the face and stuff?
There's a primordial energy around here that leaves me feeling unsettled.
Anything that makes you feel unsettled terrifies me.
Yeah, unsettled for you is abject horror for everyone else. So I think we need to move.
Can we start running?
Now.
Now?
We move, but we do not run.
Okay, we just have tinier legs than you, so we're probably going to be
running, but the fancy rod of destiny says run.
Yep. Okay, we should go.
All right, move briskly.
You're briskly carried, and you face no distraction, no enemy, no threat along your way to Gildroot Mill, safely, soundly making your way to the outskirts of the homestead, only beaten inside by the Gildroot family rushing in to find their lost daughter and faithful hound. Collectively, you have time, but you don't want to linger too long before you send these people on their way. So I'm happy to let you guys have a moment. However, more pressingly for myself, I need to ask Master Coulson Tedeschi Winchester a important question. This has been your journey in rescuing these people. These people now have the avenue to safety that you've long tried and fought for solo. Now with the help of these four, has made a reality in short span, and you can now see to fruition these some 19 some odd people brought to safety sail south on the basin into Ironhome proper. Would you see your goal done and ferry them and protect them on their journey and leave with them now? Or do you stay behind, indebted to these four, to see whatever ends they have here that they have alluded to still have within the city? Where do your allegiances lie?
I'm staying to the bitter end, baby.
With that resolve, not necessarily spoken aloud, however, as you all begin to kind of gather up, Coulson, you make that solemn determination to yourself that this wouldn't have been possible without this group. They have something left to do here. They're not planning to travel with the rest of these people south into safety. They're still hanging around for some reason, and you're going to see it through. So when it comes time to bid farewell to everyone, you will be, in fact, bidding farewell to everyone but these four. In the moments after reaching Gildroot Mill, what do you guys do?
I was thinking, so we could take a boat. If we could spare a boat, and we could try and go back to Good Times to come in from there. That's just like a new route, or we could just literally run back the way we came. But we know our mission is to go back.
Like kind of like get closer to the enemy.
Yeah.
Is there enough boats for that, or no?
I want to add just one thing to that point. There is like a ridge of this basin to look down directly over top the enemy encampment. Like there is landmass at the edge of the basin where the waterfall would flow that no longer flows. You could get aerial perspective over the encampment, and highly safely risk. You wouldn't be risking being spotted at that distance. It's a safer position just to look out from. You can continue on to Good Times if that's what you decide in terms of like wanting to rest or prepare for anything like that. But just to paint the picture that there is still a path of like overseeing the encampment below from the edge of the waterfall, what used to be waterfall.
How long would that take to get to that vantage point?
It's about half as far to Good Times. It's about equidistant to go. Halfway it would be the waterfall. The other half would be the Good Times. So it took you guys 2 hours to get there. It's never there. And that was kind of you guys sucking ass at rowing.
So we could go there to get a good vantage point and see what our next plan of attack should be. How we should go in.
I think that makes sense.
To the question of boats, you have 5 folding boats, but 1 less Coulson to carry with them. So in terms of numbers, you've got 9 halflings, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 medium-sized creatures. So it could be tight on at least 1 or 2 of the boats if you wanted to hold one back and get the rest on like 4 boats. But there's enough halflings that it wouldn't be so terrible you'd be risking like them
capsizing. Yeah. I say
we
keep a boat.
It might help us get the fuck out of here too if we need to. Or
Yeah.
Coulson. Whenever the fuck happens.
It will be tight for the 5 of you on 1 boat.
Yeah.
Bunnies can squish.
You'll squish. You're still technically medium creatures, but you're still like small enough that you wouldn't be able to take excessive weight in addition to just the 5 of you, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But just for this purpose, it would be perfect.
Let's do it. Let's pilot our little boat up there.
In that case, is there anything last you do before sending the people of Brundr Kiln safe and south?
I technically have a light crossbow that I will never use. that I probably swiped from whichever key at some point. I'm going to offer it out to people who probably don't have weapons just in case. Whoever wants it can have it.
The human who spoke before offers himself up. I may not be as good a shot as I once was, but better than nothing, I suppose, in case.
You're a hell of a lot better than me.
And as would be my nature, only fair if I trade in kind. And he pulls out a small pouch, a little packet of it, kind of almost like an envelope, but it's about half as big. And he holds it out and says, I do appreciate all of you doing what you did. And this, of course, I hope this is helpful in less cowardly ways than I would have used it.
We didn't get his name yet, right?
You would have in passing, like in talking with him when you first met. His name is Kabir Halbert.
Kavir Halberd?
Kabir.
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 Nice guy.
Thank you, Kabir. Just be swift. Focus where you need to. Get as far as you can. Stay the heck away from the waste.
The waste, yeah, very probably. He gears up and is going to be at the helm of one of the ships and begins it's a little bit of a climb up to the edge of the basin. So some of this can be happening at the house, some of this can be happening at the water's edge. You guys have given yourselves plenty of time to get this done. Don't linger too long, but
yeah.
Andy, we gotta go.
Yeah. Is there anything else preparatory anyone wants to do? Any prep spells? Any things that take time?
When I'm so bad. I was gonna say Gord. When Coulson Tedeschi Winchester gets close enough, he should just sharpen the blade. But we still have like a ways.
We got lots of time. Yeah.
You got time. If there's nothing more, the last bit of interaction here is they all just kind of whisper quiet thank yous and get the boats underway. You see the girl and Dusty. You see Hazel and Dusty being carried out by the family, and you see Hazel's eyes open as she's being carried, and she kind of gives like a pretty feeble wave, but like, you know, a little smile as best she can muster. Rose rushes over to you all and just, I have nothing to offer you, but you'll be forever in our stories and prayers. If there's ever a way we can repay you, if we ever come across paths again, the Gilroot house, our lands, our home, anything we have is yours.
Hey, you got such a good dog, and that's what more could you ask for?
He's a good boy. Thank you.
I'll like grabs Zoya just before they run off, and just I'm sorry I couldn't hear more of your tales. I would have loved it. I'm sorry we didn't get more time, but
likewise.
I think people are in good hands with you.
It should be customary to give something in offering of thanks, and I have not but my tales and no time to give them proper. So he quickly just kind of reaches into like kind of a side pouch and just pulls out a scroll, and he just hands it to you and says, I'm sure you've heard it many times, the tale of the Shale Striders, but at least have it in our own words. Share it wherever you go.
I'll grab some random trinket that I have all over my clothes. It doesn't matter what it is. And I'll return it. Just, may the skies be clear.
And the stars bright. He works a little trinket into kind of like a little dread or a little piece of leather on his shell. And he kind of doffs his head to the rest of you. Master Winchester, safe travels. He heads off.
Andy, we gotta go. Come on.
With Thanksgiving, the 4 boats begin to set sail off into Ilderfold Basin, and yours, they head south, and you guys begin to head west. Where you get to the halfway point, are you stopping at this halfway point, or are you going to continue on to Good Times Landing?
Cool. Can we go take a little vantage point? Take a little peek?
Yeah, I think we need to take a look.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone throw a perception for me, please.
Let's do it.
It's easy enough for you guys to sail the boat. You're under time pressure only in the sense that you want to do things fast, but there's nothing immediately. But yeah, perception across the board.
I'm gonna
26.
miss this divining rod.
Nice.
Yes.
Holy shit!
Was that a nat 20?
No,
Damn.
Wow.
it was 19.
Oof, so close.
I rolled 19 total.
18.
Okay.
Advantage from dying.
11. Rolled a 4.
Most of you see the base of the cliff wall far below as you kind of like scamper up and like army crawl your way up to the edge. All 5 of you, heads just poking over the edge, ears folded back so as not to alert the enemy. Where the dried waterfall and hot spring pool once rejuvenated travelers from across Vigil, now you just see this grim alien encampment and nesting site that has spawned. Notably, more than the 12 you had seen previously, probably in the more range of like 25 to 30 of these larger eggs have amassed in this entry at this position. However, a good 10 of them have burst, and you can see the Ichor trails leading off in the direction of now a fiery chasm that you have caused slightly further north into the city. You can see at this distance, Enid, as the only one to have rolled above a 20, dark shapes around what is a slowly growing magma lake. Amidst flaming building, any bit of wood and tinder is alight on the west side of the city. Where you see probably about 4 of these like half giant sized like amalgams, like the hulking creatures you fought, you see them wade into the fire and are like absorbing the magma. They're like consuming and eating and taking in the energy. Not necessarily that they aren't hurt, but that they don't care. And they are focused more on the energy of it and the allure, the draw of that, than of whatever self-preservation may be there. You're not sure. You don't know how these creatures operate. Nevertheless, a little disconcerting. Below, the war camp is like none you've ever seen. No tents or training areas, no cooking fires or places of rest. Only these tarry vines and black pools of ichor and the remnants of the eggs hatched and those that still stand pulsating gently, growing, continuously surrounded by the fallen husks of the former denizens of Brundr Kiln. One last note that you can see, it's a little difficult to see from this perspective, though you rolled high enough to just kind of get an understanding and piece together like glimpses you've seen from within the city. All of this black webbing, this tarry ichor that cakes the ground and spider webs its way across everything, is seemingly born from this central point of darkness, an arched opening in the cavern wall directly beneath where the waterfall would have covered. You can see it spiderweb its way up the cliff, almost not quite to the heights that you are, but maybe halfway up. You can see it's still kind of like vine that would encompass the side of an old wall. This black ichorous tendril just kind of clings and holds to the wall, seemingly stretching from this archway beneath the stone. This position that you know to be the somewhere within where the divining rod was stashed. It's from the base of here to the edge of the nearest building is a 300-foot expanse of open terrain, no man's land, and wading through the nest eggs, and what scattered few husks remain, making their way through. It is not a position that you are excited about making your way through.
So yeah, we just have to get to that space and then you know, plant the thing again and should be okay.
Right, except last time we did that, things came out and attacked all of us. So we don't exactly want to be facing that on two sides. Yeah. It's like a bloody invasion.
You know, the crane said that's kind of like a hive. And from our times in the forest, you know, the queen rules the hive. And when the queen's gone, the drones just kind of filter away. Maybe we have to take out the queen.
With those disconcerting thoughts, with the city in flames beneath you and whatever this potential invasion is, but the citizens of Brundr Kiln now safe, your destiny lays beneath, and we'll explore that next time. And as an added element, given your successes here in Brundr Kiln, and as you wade into future dangers, you will all level up to level 5 when we come back next game. No resting required, we'll just pick up at level 5.
Wow, so fun.
That's awesome.